Next, I'd like to bring Craig Wilwerding up here to do a presentation.
Good evening. It is my turn. We designated 15 minutes for Doug. It was really good. So this is, I've been in town since Thursday, and it's been LC wrestling and animal nonstop. And again, we've talked about this. For those that were there Thursday night, we went through this. We're going to go through it a little bit again. You don't know if you're making an impact or what's happening until John Fuller came to me today and told me that the lady behind the counter at IV said, "Are you the animal?" It's gone viral. And then just a couple stories. I'm gonna go pretty quick. But listen to Keith talk, and then Todd Clapper brought it up because he remembered when I was a freshman, I was lucky enough to beat two upperclassmen to put myself in a position to wrestle to be on the JV, right? And the JV, then you're the backup to the varsity. So most freshmen, when they finally wrestle through wrestle-offs to make JV, they think they're going to wrestle a JV match. Well, Keith goes and gets hurt. Yes. And so I went to, I can't remember if it was Atlantic or Atlantic. And I think Coach Bluff knew I must have been a little nervous. He goes, "Are you sure? Because I can let Bruce Leahy take your spot." Are you sure? I'm like, no, this is mine. I want this. About 30 seconds into the first period, I was sure hoping Bruce Leahy actually gave it up. Wrestle-offs are the greatest thing in sports. They're the most honest, most pure, most integrity thing they have in all sports. It's the greatest thing. And then just real quick, because the irony, I'm sitting back there with my brother and Jay Gunther and Drew Rogers. And the irony is that, for those that don't know Jay Gunther and Drew Rogers, I had a brother that was a practical joke. I had my fair of practical jokes as a young man. Well, for some reason, Jay Gunther and Drew Rogers thought there was a void that they had to fill in that category. So I appreciate it. But I really want to thank the attendance. I mean, the attendance, and I love the passion with Doug and with Keith. There's nothing that I love more than Titan Wrestling. My wife gives me a hard time. On my little Instagram, I've told people it's the Titan Tower. I call home and I tell my son I'm driving by the blue and white water tower. And I go, "Where do you think I am?" He goes, "I know, Dad. Titan country." There's nothing more that I love than being in a room like this right now. So this is where I belong, and I'm very confident. I do believe there's a certain family element too. The attendance tonight's fantastic. John's going to talk in a second about some of the underlying reasons why we're here with the scholarship that we're starting as this event, and then of course as we move forward going into the future, how we can continue to connect to the future generation with scholarships, help these kids do what they need to do in different avenues other than wrestling, but as well as wrestling. And then just real, on the animal shirt, there's been a lot of attention, and again, I sometimes wonder if it's overkill on the animal, but then I hear stories about other schools and about the pride, and how I'm starting to hear other schools are thinking about starting different traditions, so I love the fact that we have this tradition. For those that don't know the story, 30 years ago, John Fuller was a senior and I was a junior, and we were around the same weight class, and even though John says in that news article that I beat on him, it was most of the time the other way around. He had the long legs and stuck the legs in. I could not get away from him. And there were times that I had a temper at that time. I've matured. So those times I was completely frustrated. But when you wrestle is a sport. When you spend that much time close to another man, you become good friends. You become good friends. And John and I used to go to the 24-hour fitness and we were not good. Lauren Ashbaugh sitting somewhere here. Lauren was an excellent. He would make weight and then he'd actually start dieting, where we made weight and then we went to Perkins. Two different strategies. None better than the other. Two different strategies. Well, until the day before weigh-ins. But we worked hard together, and when you see somebody work hard, you earn a ton of respect. And in life and in sports and in many avenues of the world that we live, you garner respect, right? You always talk about respect, and that's always earned. You can always ask for it, you can always demand it, you can always dictate it, whatever title you have in the business world, whatever title you have in anything that you do, but ultimately it's earned. And I think unbeknownst to John over that year, with a lot of people, the way that he wrestled, the way that he approached wrestling, and probably most importantly the passion, he earned a ton of respect from us. And so when the season was over, and I know the season didn't end the way that John wanted to end, in the way that it should have ended, but he threw his animal shirt at me. And the animal shirt, if you guys know the story, is actually, he had a good junior year, and his parents gave him the animal shirt into his senior year to try to encourage the young man to fulfill his talent. So it was a shirt that was a vehicle that started that year. It was serving its own purpose. And then at the end of the year, John gave me the shirt, and I think jokingly said, "Here, wear this next year." And then he went to the Navy. So I had a choice, but there was no choice. And unbeknownst to him, I did. I kept the shirt clean. I kept it folded. I kept it in my dresser at home. And that's one of the reasons. Actually, to be honest, one of the reasons why I really look forward to my senior year was the opportunity to wear that. Now, John had long sleeves on it, right? But I was a 167-pounder come my senior year, and I needed those shirts. I needed to cut off. So my altercation was I didn't cut the sleeves off. At that moment, I wish I lifted more weights. But then I wore the animal shirt, of course, every match, every tournament, purposely taking off my warm-ups beforehand to make sure people knew the person I was wrestling, that shirt meant something, and that they were in for something extremely special when the whistle blew. And I think it helps position. I think it comes with a certain attitude. John was surprised that I wore it all season. When I handed it to Eric Peterson, I think he was surprised that I wore it. That when I gave it to Eric Peterson, I think I was kind of surprised that he wore it that next season. And then 5 years into it, they continued to move on. And again, the wrestling, the bad thing about the animal shirt is it divides a certain generation, because this generation is massive. We have since in the 50s when this program started. We have people like Steve Delante back there. I know I'm talking about you. Back in the so Steve was in the second, finished second in 1972. And 72 was a great year because you go from the 60s, right? People like Don Anderson and Steve Hansen. Steve Hansen was our first place winner in 1966. Don Anderson finished fourth in 1967. The 70s came with another great decade. And 72 was a great year with Dwayne Kilgard finishing fifth or fourth or something. Bill Allen finishing, I think at that time it was second. He finished first the following year, and then of course Steve. So a great year. A lot of people. You have Mike Smith from that same decade. Then you go into the 80s. Of course, you have Louis Massey, who was our two-time state champion and first person to finish place 4 times at the state tournament. You had Joe Gunther, who I know that I was talking to Jay, has a son now that's at the University of Iowa. You have Keith Massey, of course. And if you open up that book that's on your thing, and you wonder about the amount of respect that people have for Keith Massey, just open that thing up and you'll see all the kids, how much they reference him in stories in that book. You got people like Todd Clapper. And the one thing I was talking to Todd is there's something about, as a young man you look up and the way that Todd, if it wasn't a brawl, Todd wasn't winning. Todd, I think, liked the opportunity to get into a mix. If it was a scramble, he was going to win. He was that type of wrestler. He was fun to watch. He was a person that always kept the rest of the bench on the end of their seats, paying attention. Of course, Jay Gunther in the 80s. And I think probably the rest, to be honest, probably the wrestler with the fewest moves. But that's good. And did extremely well, state champion, of course. And then Dan, Dan Higgins in that same era, and where's Danny at? And Danny, the only thing I can say about Danny, he's smaller than me, so we never wrestled. So I don't know if he taught me how to wrestle, but the one thing that Danny taught everybody is how to practice. Danny showed up every morning, showed up every afternoon, and he practiced extremely hard. The one thing that I always remember about Danny Higgins is the work. So the generation goes on, and that's why the Titan shirt, though it started in 1985, it reflects Lewis Central Titans as an entity of who we are, the attitude that we want to be. And when someone steps on the mat and they're facing a Lewis Central Titan wrestler, it means something. It means something more than just another wrestler. It means that you're in for something, whatever that means. But it's going to be a battle. And I love the work that Doug's doing, and I look forward to the future generation continue to build those building blocks and continue to make something special out of this. What I'm going to do is just quickly reintroduce from Thursday night the animals. I'm going to ask John Fuller to come up and we're going to play a reverse role. For John introduced him on Thursday, I'm going to introduce him tonight. And there's some that are not here. Eric Peterson, I'll go through it as we go through it. So the first was John Fuller, of course. And then in 1986, myself. And then we're just going to have you guys come up and get your plaque, and you keep them this time, and then we're not going to stay up here, just go back and sit down. The next was Eric Peterson, who actually came up here Thursday and talking about people that are traveling. That's when it really realizes to you that maybe you're doing something that people are excited about when you have people that fly or drive in long distances for a single night, just to be part of it. But Eric came in, he had to get back and work, so he left yesterday morning. He handed off to Doug Notek, our first state champion, first animal state champion. In 1990, Mark Canty wore the animal shirt. Record of 28-4. 1991, Eric Emzik, 28-3. Finished third place. Oh, they stuck together. 1992, Dan Kilgard, 46-3. And then Jeff Bellows was so good he had 2 years. He was a double animal. He went 40-0 and then 46-1. So 86-1 as the animal. Finished first and third. Adam Bendorf, 1995. Record 43-0, first place. Currently lives in Harlan, Iowa. 1996, David Kilgard, 39-0, first place. You know, then we forgot to mention, this animal shirt accumulated, I think it was 1,259 wins over 30 years with, how many losses was it, Doug? Like 150 or something like that, but we had the stats. It's amazing, you start breaking it down, there's just a lot of success. Must have been the shirt. 1997, Alonzo Gross, 44-6. 1998, Jared Jeffries, 44-5. Full class. 1999 and 2000, Roland Witt. I don't think Roland Witt. 2001 was Aaron Smith, who wasn't able to make it. 2002, Trent Paulson. 51-0. Ames, Iowa. Well, Travis wasn't was he here?
Nope.
Hey, we forgot to mention there will be an open mic later, so. I think we already got the note from Travis that he wants to, anyway. 2003 and 2004, Brandon Mason. Brandon went 46-0 and 52-0 as the animal. He's not here tonight. 2005, Tobin Ward. 2006, Mike Stamp. I know he couldn't make it. But Mike went 44-10, 5th place. He lives in Neola. In 2007, Jimmy Waters with a record of 48-0. 2008, Derek Neister. Did I say that right?
He's not here.
He's not here. He was 52-2 at 3rd place. And in 2009, Brett's not here. Brett Bombach. That too. 51-1, 1st place. 2010, Elijah Solvins, Not here. 2010, he finished 36-4. And then 2011, Kyle Putnam. 45-7, seventh place, lives here at Council Bluffs. And 2012, Zeb Wall.
Not here.
He wasn't able to make it. He was 15-2, first place. And 2013, is Zach here? Okay, Zach was 15-4, second place. And then 2014, Ethan Ruby.
No.
Good rustlers, not good at attendance. 2015, Hayden. Oh, he's wearing his animal shirt. So, you know that he's looking at the animal shirt. I think that's the fourth or fifth one. We could go back. I know that Adam, was it Adam Bedorf that lost the? It was stolen. I heard it was a gift to some young lady, then it was stolen, or multiple stories going around. But ultimately, I think it was left at the state tournament, and I think it was probably time for a new shirt at that time. But just personally, I want to thank everyone for being here again, and thank Doug for putting this on. Thank John, Kim, and the whole group for Mrs. Butterball for working so hard on this thing. And then for all of you, thanks for your attendance and thanks for your support and participation with Blue Central Wrestling. Thank you.